Hello, Pisces, and welcome to your 2017 mid-year reading. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, your astrologer for the next half hour or so, here to tell you about the total solar eclipse that takes place on the 21st of August. I'm also going to mention the partial eclipse of the moon that takes place on Monday. Today is Saturday, so that's been about 48 hours. There's going to be an eclipse of the moon, and hopefully we'll have this in your hands well before then. And that's actually, both eclipses are influential for you in significant and somewhat different ways. And let's jump right in here. This is the 12th time I'm explaining this chart, although they all look a little bit different. For example, here's the Scorpio chart. Notice that it has Scorpio on the ascendant. Here's the Pisces chart. It has Pisces on the ascendant. And if you'll notice, the ascendant being the same as the first house, there's some pretty good planets in your first house, one of which is Nessus, another of which is Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, the third of which is Chiron, which has been in your house in your first house or in your birth sign for the past 7 years. And this has really, in many ways, been the defining feature of your astrology for the past 7 years, particularly if you're born in the 1960s. The 1960s meaning approximately 1961 through 1968 is when Chiron was in Pisces. Previous to this, check those dates carefully. If that's true, which is to say that if you have recently turned 50, or are right about to turn 50, you've had your Chiron return. So in addition to having Chiron in your sun sign or in your rising sign, you've also had it conjunct your natal Chiron. Again, this is for people born up till about 1968. Again, I haven't researched those dates recently, but that's the approximately 7 years that Chiron was in Pisces the last time around was in the 1960s. And so Chiron return, or Chiron returning to your sign, or Chiron crossing your ascendant are all watershed moments of life, and they are so in the particular context of Chiron, which is about healing crisis. Usually Chiron will bring a healing crisis, and so this is not some kind of ordinary, boring, meaningless crisis. This is a deeply, profoundly meaningful crisis that's designed to help you heal your life and grow your soul and set yourself free from the things that have ailed you and that have held you back. And it is quite likely that the story of these past 7 years, and particularly, again, if you're around age 50, which now a lot of my readers are around this age, has come with a transition where you have, in a sense, gone through a kind of a trial by fire, where you have learned to be yourself above all else. Vitally important thing to learn is how to be yourself above all else. I'm going to move this microphone so we get Venus in the shot. After all, we are talking about Pisces here. There she is, see, right next to Yogananda. Venus is the exalted planet of Pisces. We have to have her in the scene. Okay, so Chiron through your sign, potentially upheavals, turmoil, identity crisis, and some health crisis. This is changing now that Chiron is about to enter Aries, where it will take up new residence now for about 9 years. And the theme here is stabilizing your self-esteem and stabilizing your relationship to your resources. Vital subject matter, right? Now, what's been going on the previous 7 years is that Mr. Uranus, the planet of inventions and revolutions and instability and of kind of a chaotic influence, has been in your second, which has provided a challenge to you to stabilize your income, to make contact with what your actual resources are, and to kind of ride the roller coaster of self-esteem challenges till you have come through on friendly terms with yourself. Not always easy on this planet, particularly when there are so many influences that would keep you on unfriendly terms. Okay, a couple of other points of background. Chiron moving through your first, that's called an angular transit. It's moving through one of the signs on the mutable cross, all of which are angular for you, because your astrology is kind of organized on this crosses system, where all the mutable signs are part of your sign. So that would be Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius. All right. So additional news coming from the angular houses for you, and that has been that Saturn has moved across your 10th house. This is a big transit because it's a kind of a promotion in life, and it's about living up to your considerable aspirations. One of the things that is always downplayed about Pisces is the ambitious, or let's say aspirational, nature of Pisces. Now, the difference between ambition and aspiration is that ambition is more about success for its own sake, and there's often kind of a tragic flaw associated with ambition, and a little bit of Machiavellian, going to win at all costs, and all this stuff. Hubris is involved. Aspiration is, I want to do well the thing that I do. I want to serve my community well. I want to take responsibility. That's all Sagittarius on the 10th house. And so another thing this represents is, Sagittarius is one of the most inherently spiritual signs, in part because it contains the galactic center and the center of the known universe, which is the great attractor. Your goals must be spiritually grounded goals. You will not be happy in a profession where you're not really able to express your willingness to serve God, your need to serve the universe. This is a simple fact of life for Pisces. And interestingly, Saturn has spent nearly 3 years going across Sagittarius, saying it is time to take this seriously. So you've got Chiron going through your first house, saying you must find out who you are, you must do your healing work, you must work out these problems that you've had, you must come to terms with yourself. Saturn going across the 10th house at the same time has basically been saying it is time to stand up to your true mission, to stand your full height, your full stature, and to be in the world the person who you are, and to do what you came here to be. That is also about accepting responsibility for your actions and being willing to be accountable. But there's no pleasure in power if you're not accountable. I mean, I guess some weirdos might think, oh, it's great fun. But I think, speaking as a person with a lot of Saturn in my chart, one of the goals of my concept of power, anyway, is to be powerful within a dharmic framework, within a framework that is accountable to the whole. Anybody can be destructive. Anyone can cheat. Anyone can steal, and anyone can lie. Is that really fun? Is that, would you ever include that on the list of things you want to be in life? A thief, a conniver, and a liar? I really don't think so. So Saturn has been pushing the opposite message, that it is essential that you take responsibility for your choices and take responsibility for the talent that you have been given, the considerable talent that you have been given. Part of the accountability of the 10th house is to put your talent to actual work every day, rather than hoping and wishing and maybe praying and all that and thinking that someday you'll maybe finally get to do something or be someone, the chances are that over the past few years you have really, grown. And the growth has been in an external context, which is Saturn and Sag, and it's been in a deeply personal, internal context, Chiron, in your sign. Hey, Henrietta. All right. Now for what this eclipse is about. The emphasis of this eclipse, I think, is there's two eclipses. There's the eclipse that takes place on Monday, the 7th of August. That's in Aquarius in your 12th house. Let's cover that second, even though it happens first. Let's cover that second. The solar eclipse, which is the main event, takes place late in your 6th house. So you have Leo on the 6th house. That's one reason why your work must be meaningful. It's one reason why you must take a leadership position at work, which means more being the person who is the taskmaster, the person responsible for getting things done. As we all know, that's not often the boss, right? Usually the boss's assistant is the person who gets things done, or the team around the boss and all that. The boss gets credit because I must be such a great person for getting things done. But your concept of being the boss is being the taskmaster. This is Leo on the 6th house. You have to provide a central function in your workplace. That central function is largely going to be a coordinating function. It's also a creative function. You provide a level of inspiration. And you've had a new moon taking place in here. The new moon was about 2 weeks ago. Let's draw a little conjunction symbol in for the new moon, meaning a sun-moon conjunction, right? In early Leo, conjunct Mars. Let's add Mars. I keep adding Mars in blue because my red pen. Hey, Henrietta. Because my red pen is on the next table over. Okay, so a lot of activity in your workplace, a lot of energy in your workplace. As I've said in many horoscopes, a busy time for Pisces through the rest of the year and well ahead, a busy time for Pisces. You have plenty of energy, but the eclipse is reminding you that you must pace yourself and that you must maintain your well-being as part of your need to succeed. And one of the ways you do that is through balance and through pacing. This is vitally important to create a structure and, for example, to say, I'm going to get this much done and then by that time and that much done by that time, and to kind of contain your inspiration and your efforts mainly as a check against going wildly out of control and overworking. Basically, you need to put checks up against overworking. And what you do when you put up those checks against overworking is that you create a structure wherein you are able to get your work done, and then you can adjust that structure to make sure that you get things done. And this thing that's supposedly very alien to Pisces, which is timing and structure and accountability structure, is all very much in the nature of your charts right now. And the Saturn thing up here in the 10th house, by the way, is saying that you have to be the person who sets the deadlines, you for yourself and for anybody who's reporting to you, and you have to be the person who is making the structure that you live within. And one of the reasons I'm cautioning that you use structure and pacing as a function of all this activity in your 6th house of both work and well-being is because an eclipse there is a bit ominous, and it's saying you have to, your bottom line has to be your health on a day-to-day level, getting enough sleep and all this stuff, and making sure you're actually eating food and that you're nourished and you're not stressing your body in ways and undue ways. And the presence of Mars and an eclipse and a new moon is saying, look here, this is the place to really do the work. And by the way, one of these pretend planets I like to use, called Volcanus, is about to spend like the next 75 years in your 6th house. You have a lot of energy to get things done and a lot of vitality. And so the thing you have to do in that case is keep your engine cool and lubricated and maintained, and you'll be able to drive back and forth across the country as many times as you want, whatever that means to you. You can work 80 hours a week, you can work 40 hours a week, you can work 20 hours a week, but you have to structure and pace yourself and make sure that everything is in balance. Now, the solar eclipse, which takes place on the 21st, is on this line that's very close to it's the end of the 6th, and it's leaning into the 7th house. This is a region that is work collaboration into loving partner collaboration. And so you're right now opening up that space between working and getting things done and collaboration, including the collaboration of, let's say, loving creative partnership. Really, it's a vital thing in the world, and I think a vital thing for you at this time. Now, one of the things you've been contending with in the whole region of partnership is this little other pretend planet called Trans-Pluto. Trans-Pluto is from another group of pretend planet. Well, it's a standalone pretend planet. I'll do a wrap on Planet Waves FM sometime soon about those. But one of the things that Trans-Pluto does, and by the way, it moves very slowly, and it's going to be in your opposite sign, your relationship sign and sign of partnership, for approximately the next 70 years. So it's going to be an influence, unless you're born yesterday, it'll be an influence for the rest of your life. But this can represent narrowness, and it can represent a world where you're looking at a lot of people who can't really let their potential out. They have a narrow concept of relationships. They have a narrow concept of their potential. They have a narrow concept of what they want to try. They have a narrow concept of what it means to experiment and to get experience and all that stuff. And this can be frustrating. You have Chiron in your sign. You have Neptune in your sign. You have planets. You have Saturn in your 10th house saying, dare and grow and achieve and make your way in the world. It can be frustrating to encounter people who have a small concept of what it means to succeed and to achieve something. And so it is essential that you find the right, specifically right people, and that you not invest too much energy in people who are not the right people. They may benefit from or deserve some of your attention and all that, but I would say make sure you invest most of your energy into the people who really can meet you and persist in finding those people. And if you think there's some potential there, develop the relationship and see where it goes. It's worth some effort to develop the relationship. Once someone has demonstrated that they're like not that happy or that excited about life or about working or not willing to throw themselves in a few times, then you pretty much figured out who that person is. All right. Where's my, oops, there's a dog there. It's Henrietta. Okay. So, the other thing about relationships that is kind of the potentially narrow issue is, and this sort of like overcautious thing and people being obsessed with the past is Mercury retrograde in Virgo in your 7th at the time of the solar eclipse. So what this is saying is recognize when people are obsessed with the past. Recognize when they're stuck in their habits and their patterns, and tendencies, and your job is to see people as they are in the present. So keep reminding yourself, update your files on people, and try over and over again to see people for who they are now and get them to reveal who they are now. Additionally, the presence of Mercury retrograde in your 7th is possibly describing relationships that are coming back into your life, and you need to evaluate those relationships carefully and make sure you're actually dealing with updated files, that you recognize who people are today, you acknowledge the situation you may have had with them in the past, and that you try to get on the same page and into the modern context now with them. That will not always be possible. Some of them are coming into your life for resolution of things. They're coming into your life to for that brief moment. Of course, Miracles at some point describes how having the right approach to the person that you run into in an elevator may resolve countless lifetimes of past karma, because you made the connection in that one split instant. So the duration of the relationship, or the drama of the relationship, or the seemingly outer form, is less important than recognizing the internal innate quality of the relationship, and quite possibly forming your partnerships on different terms than the you and me and you of the 12th of the seventh house. I'm going to add Vesta to the seventh house here also. So Vesta, by the way, is lurking around in the seventh house, and Vesta is a reminder that your relationship patterns are not necessarily the normal ones. They're not the kind of things that everyone else is doing all the time, and you're also not motivated by the same concepts, ideas, and goals. And so with Mercury retrograde in your seventh house right now, that's saying, let what is different be different. Let people march to the beat of their own drummer, if that is what they want to do. All right, now another eclipse, and then we're going to talk about a couple of more of the planets that are present in this chart. Lunar eclipse takes place Monday the 7th in the 12th house, house number 12. That is the one right before you. It's a little kind of like Pisces is to Pisces, right? Because Pisces is the 12th sign. This is hyper simplified and not strictly true, but Pisces is the 12th sign. Well, what is the 12th sign away from Pisces? That would be Aquarius. And so the kind of mystical, inwardly seeking, difficult to comprehend, tucked slightly out of the way version of reality known as the 12th house for you manifests as Aquarius. And this is about patterns and tendencies, hidden patterns and tendencies that are largely inherited from others. And the fact of the eclipse and the transit of the South Node through the 12th house is an opportunity to release your hidden patterns and tendencies, and to see them for what they are, and then to let go of them because you get the chance to. You kind of have this cosmic power boost coming from an eclipse in Aquarius in your 12th house. Now, one of the interesting things about the sign Aquarius is I believe that it's one of the esoteric, the moon is one of the esoteric rulers of Aquarius. There's some odd combination of the moon and Aquarius in esoteric astrology. I'm not quite sure what it is, but in a way it makes sense. I'm not quite getting how it makes sense, but it like a lot of things in this book by Alice A. Bailey called Esoteric Astrology, it makes sense in a kind of a weird, intuitive way. Then you try it and you see that it works. The thing to know about Aquarius is that while it's often promoted as the sign of groovy peace, love, and understanding, and that fantastic bass line from the fifth dimension, which is really good considering it's like a one-note bass line, is that it really is the sign of crystallization. And if you want an example of an expression of the crystallization of Aquarius, look at what the internet, very much an Aquarian thing, has done to us. It has locked us into this crystallized social pattern that is almost impossible to get out of. Really difficult to get out of this crystallized social pattern of the internet. And one caveat about having Aquarius in the 12th house is to really understand your relationship to the internet. It's also saying that of all the signs, Pisces is potentially the sign that can internalize the whole thing and, in a sense, be bigger than the internet, because you, as a human being and child of God, are bigger than the internet, no matter how many server farms and cloud storage thingies it takes up. You contain this whole world and this whole universe, and it's also a reminder that when you are dealing with the internet, you are dealing with a kind of a mirror or extension of yourself. You're in a very good position to understand this, and it is likely there's going to be some shift in your relationship to the internet, a kind of an acceleration or a promotion, a revelation, the attaining of a depth of understanding of what this thing is about and what it can do. And as a Pisces, which is the sign that handles some of the very largest realities in the universe, you are very well suited to be a master of the internet and someone who is able to take this whole thing on the most spiritual, empathetic, and absolutely humane level, and let it serve as a tool for the benefit of humanity. Now, speaking of humanity, there's a couple of other kind of really exciting things that are about to happen, and let's end on that note. And by the way, this is one reason why I'm suggesting that your relationships don't need to be the me and you and me obsession of the first and the seventh houses, though there'll be some of that. There's bigger things happening in your chart, and I want to cover two of them. The first thing that is, apart from the fact that Jupiter is heading into Scorpio in October, and this suggests traveling a little bit further afield. You may finally get abroad or get out of the area, get to the West Coast, or get to Antarctica, wherever you want to go. That's happening, and the spiritual sex quality of Pisces is going to be greatly highlighted by having Jupiter, the planet of spirituality, in the ninth house of spirituality, which for you is covered by Scorpio, and about to join Apollon. And so you are getting the message of bring your flock together. Bring the people who have faith in what you have faith in and who love the things in life that you love and have a similar concept of existence. Get those people together. And I get that these people are typically very, very scared. Like I'm talking about, the whole human race is huffing its own fear and needs a different drug than its own fear. All right. Next, I mentioned previously that Saturn making its way across your 10th house is a kind of a promotion, an exercise in accountability, and more than anything, an exercise in making sure that your bona fide spiritual values are the actual thing that you're doing with your time and your energy, and that your leadership is one of spiritual example, meaning doing the right thing. That is a spiritual example. It's not that you light candles and you have the fancy, it's more spiritual to smoke pot from this than it is from a one hitter or a joint. No, I don't mean all the accoutrements of spirituality. I mean doing the right thing. Saturn in the 10th. And now Saturn is going in the 11th. And it is about doing the right thing in service of more people. Notice Saturn's going to change signs along with a couple of other planets, all going to move in. And the ground has been prepared for what that thing is that you do. The ground has been prepared, meaning the ground of the public, whatever that is, for public acceptance, whatever that is. The ground of revolution has been broken up by Pluto going through Capricorn. The Earth has been turned over, that very satisfying thing you can do in the spring with a pitchfork, and you bring the fertile soil from deeper beneath, and you let the stuff that's been working, last couple of years below, and you turn the dirt over. That's Pluto in Capricorn. And now Saturn is about to return to the one of its signs, the first of its two major signs, one being Capricorn, one being Aquarius. So Saturn is now going to be in Saturn-ruled signs for more than 5 years. A beautiful thing that's going to happen. And the first of those is your 11th house. This is going to solidify your relationship to your particular public. It is going to bring you out into public and is going to assist you in finding a solid niche for what you do. I mean, the story of survival and thriving in the digital age is you find your niche, but you don't get too caught in that because everything is forever changing and the internet is growing and moving and shifting. And pretty much everything we do involves the internet, except that Capricorn also references things that are older, that predate all of this. So there's some retrieval of tradition. And I would propose that you contemplate the Saturn in Capricorn thing in the context of what you do now, in the modern format that you do it, but also the retrieval of that which is traditional, that which is older, that which is tried and true. What is that? What is that? All right. One other, very exciting, particularly if you fancy yourself a writer or want to be. Your house of writing is Taurus, third house, right? This is writing, not so much publishing. Publishing is up in the 9th. Jupiter's going there. If you happen to be a writer, you're going to have Jupiter in your 9th. That's awesome. And if you happen to be a writer, you're going to have Uranus in your 3rd solar house. This is about really playing with, experimenting with, and expressing your most radical ideas. Whatever your concept of radical is, take it up an order of magnitude or two. And even if we forget the concept of radical, Uranus wants an experiment. It wants to try it out and see if we can make a thing that will fly, or see if we can make an engine that'll run and make the car go without horses pulling it, or we can make a pen that you don't have to dip in ink every 2 minutes, or we can make an awesome microphone. But the invention is a Uranian thing. And so there is something going on about inventing your message, 3rd house. That's in Taurus. This is deep, and it's meaningful, and it's nourishing, and it's going to be happening. And there's going to be lots of exciting astrology, including Saturn trine Uranus from the Earth signs, Jupiter opposing Uranus. That's exciting. And then Saturn square Chiron. All these new influences are going to be working together. Hold on, I've got to say proper goodbye to you to remind me in 1 hour. All right, so this is the conclusion of the total solar eclipse reading, the mid-year reading for 2017. Pisces actually came at the end of the 12 signs, and it's a great honor to do this work for you and to be here with you. All right, you know where to find me. Don't forget to check your rising sign. Please check your rising sign. If you can't afford full price right to us, we'll give it to you for a discount. Very important to check your sun and your rising. All right. Thank you. Love. And bye for now.